Welcome to The Reaction with me, Sarah Vine, and Andrew Pearce.
Delighted to be back.
Delighted to be back. I've been away.
You have?
I've had a merciful few days break from the madness of the election. And I come back to find that the Conservatives are being even more stupid than they were being before I went away. So, Andrew, can you recap?
Yes, every week we think it can't get any worse, and then it
Just when you
does.
thought.
So their latest problem to beset this wretched campaign, two candidates are under investigation, one of whom was Rishi Sunak's parliamentary private secretary. That is an MP who was the Prime Minister's bag carrier, his main link man with the Commons and backbench MPs. They're both under investigation for allegedly placing a bet on the timing of the general election on July the 4th. So the Prime Minister's PPS is a man called Craig Williams, or Williamson. We'll check that. Can we check that, team? Craig Williamson or Craig Williams? Okay, we're just checking. He placed a bet for £100 on a July the 4th election, so he's potentially destroyed his reputation and career to win £500. 3 polls in the last 24 hours suggesting that the Tories will, well, one of them says they could be down to 53 MPs. They couldn't manage a front bench with that.
No.
That would be the worst result in history. It's almost now on a scale with what happened in Canada in 1993 when the Tory Prime Minister lost her seat and they went down from 169 seats to 2. And they were beaten by a party on the right called Reform. Follow? Nigel Farage has named his party. Reform.
Rishi Sunak, or Richard, as my children call him for some reason I don't really understand, could lose his seat.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a Prime Minister who's lost his seat?
It's never happened in this country, ever. So that would be quite something.
Quite embarrassing.
He will replace Liz Truss as the most derided, ridiculed Tory Prime Minister in history. That's quite something.
It really is. It's excruciating watching it, isn't it? It's like it's. And
you want to close your eyes and block your ears.
It's self-inflicted. I thought what we had in the paper today by Lord Ashcroft, who was basically saying it's not the Tory policy. So he did some polling, and when he sort of put the policies blind in front of people, as it were, so not associated,
raising the stamp duty threshold.
So not associated with any party. The ones that people liked the most were the ones that the Conservatives are putting forward. But as soon as they found out they were Conservatives, they were like, oh no, we don't want that. Sorry. And it goes back to this. It's a reputational problem more than anything else. And I think, it's just like when sometimes relationships, and I think the relationship between the Tory party and the British electorate has just broken down. Yeah. There's a kind of divorce going on.
I know seasoned campaigners and people who've been in the Commons for many years, there are no MPs at the moment, of course, because we're in an election period, who say they are no longer knocking on doors because they are fed up
getting
with
so
the
much abuse.
They just vile 4-letter words directed at men or women. So they're now putting leaflets through the door and legging it down the garden path in the hope that nobody opens the door and says, "Oi, you've left something behind."
But that's what it was like in 1992 and 1997.
Particularly 1997, when Blair won his landslide.
That's what it was like. But it was also like that in the election after 97, which was
2001.
Thank you.
When
I remember
William Hague,
that. Yes.
William Hague.
So I remember that election because that was when I I'd become friends with people like David Cameron and George Osborne and Ed Vaizey, and they were all sort of kind of teeny tiny Tories at that stage, and they were trying to sort of turn the party round with Michael Howard and all of those people.
Yeah.
And I remember them going campaigning, and just it was like that. It was sort of what's wrong with you? Why? Are you
and of course
for
the Tories
Tories?
had been in power for 18 years, so they'd been out of power for 4 years. People still hadn't forgiven them, and this. I mean, look, I still think Starmer will unravel very quickly. There's no love for him, and Lord Ashcroft's poll was adamant about that people don't. There's no love for Keir Starmer, and the great hope we have to have is that a super majority for Labour will make some people think twice about voting for reform or not, or staying at home. So there's still hope there, but. I think Starmer's unpopularity will unravel very quickly, but who will be the beneficiary?
Well,
not the
so
Tories
the question
at the moment.
I suppose the big question in my mind is it, the Conservatives have always been very against proportional representation, and they've always favoured the first past the post system. But we could end up with a situation where Starmer gets in with 43% of the vote.
And with a majority of nearly 500.
Exactly,
and
which is not representative.
No, and Theresa May had around 43% of the vote in 2017 and lost the Tories' majority.
Exactly.
So that, and of course, Farage and Co are calling for proportional representation.
Well,
Of course
it suits
they are,
them,
'cause
yeah.
it suits them.
But what you would end up with is them. So let's just game that. If we had proportional representation in this election, you would end up with a sort of a kind of decent sized Labour Party, wouldn't you?
Yeah, nothing like as big as the
Nothing
majority
like
they're
as
heading
big.
for.
Then Reform would probably get sort of 20 seats?
Maybe, yeah, maybe more.
Maybe more. To have a few Greens knocking around,
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
a lot of Lib Dems, I
Yeah,
imagine.
sadly.
And the Conservatives would probably still be the second biggest party.
Yeah, but they would at least be able to put forward a constructive opposition,
Yeah.
because the worry about this supermajority, Sarah, is that there will not be a functioning Conservative opposition. So Starmer will be able to do what he wants,
Absolutely.
because you won't be able to rely on the Lib Dems to put up any
No.
opposition.
No.
And if you look at the most recent poll, Truss is out.
Well, I personally think that's a good thing.
Sure. The Home Secretary, James Cleverly, is out.
I quite like James
The
Cleverly.
Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, is out. The seat that was your ex-husband's, Michael Gove's seat, would go to the Lib Dems.
Well, the Lib Dems are really, really focusing
throwing everything
hard
at
on
that.
Yeah.
They're effectively the only person left standing would be, and Grant Shapps would be out. That would be devastating,
Oh, dear.
obviously.
No, Kemi Badenoch is
Kemi
the only
Badenoch
one.
would be the last
Yeah.
person standing, because she has a majority of 27,000, and that would be okay.
The interesting thing about Kemi is that I think if you're taking, if the Conservative Party has basically been brought low by its own sleaze and incompetence and
Not being Tory.
and greed, things like this, I think Kemi is a very good antidote to that, because she's very stiff-backed about a lot of things.
She's almost puritanical.
Yes, she is. She's quite strict. And maybe that's what they need.
Got quite a strong Christian ethic.
Very strong Christian ethic. She has sort of echoes of Thatcher. Everyone always says when there's a woman leader, oh, is she the new Thatcher? And it was, I've never agreed. I mean, Theresa wasn't that.
No.
Liz wasn't that. But Kemi has that sort of stubbornness that Thatcher has, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thatcher was incredibly stubborn.
Yeah.
And so is Kemi. She's very determined to do things her way.
But I was with a load of Tories the other night, and they are so furious with the Prime Minister for the early election, for the mistakes. And I had to tell them, actually it was last night, it was on Wednesday night, and I had to tell them the Prime Minister's personal protection officer has been arrested for, their jaws were dropping. They said, we've got to go and knock on doors later. And I said, and his parliamentary private secretary's under investigation. Talk of another. They just thought, how many more own goals can this Conservative Party score?
But that feels like pre-97.
Yeah.
Because you had
sleaze. It was sleaze.
It was
do you remember?
sleaze. It was happening all the time.
Every other day, every other week, there was another Tory caught with his trousers down.
Absolutely.
And it's nearly always men.
Yes, it is, because apart from the wife of this chap,
he's been an idiot, but normally, all the sleaze issues are about men.
Yeah.
Stupid men. So it's just so depressing, and I can't see. I mean, I sort
of can't wait for it to be over now.
I know.
I feel like the patient's flatlining, and I just think it just needs to be given a nice.
But we have to just say to people who are listening, look, if you are furious with the Tories, and you and I
Don't
are furious
vote
with
Reform.
the Tories, don't vote Reform,
No.
because it is a vote for a Labour landslide of epic proportions. And as somebody pointed out to me, if you vote for Reform in someone like Jacob Rees-Mogg's constituency, he's got a majority of about 14,000.
Yeah.
That would take votes from Rees-Mogg. It means almost certainly the Lib Dems will capture that seat.
Yeah.
The Lib Dems who want to take us back into the European Union. Can you bear the thought of all that again when that at least has been settled? So vote for Nigel Farage's party will lead to more Lib Dems in Parliament and give Keir Starmer an epic majority.
But that's why I think so many people are disillusioned in this election. To be perfectly honest, if I wasn't a journalist, I don't think I'd be paying any attention, because I think the system doesn't work. Because it's absurd that a vote for Reform would actually amount to a vote for Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
That is a rubbish system that is clearly not working.
And I have talked to leading people in Reform. Maybe one of them might even be Nigel Farage. I might have said, I don't understand why you've got candidates standing against people like David Davis, who a Brexiteer, a strong Tory. He's got a good record on human rights and civil liberties. He's a proper Tory. He could. The latest poll shows, as he told me himself, I'm underwater.
But
and that Reform will finish him
But
off.
Farage has said he wants to destroy the Conservative Party. And I don't know why he wants to do that, because I would have,
Because he thinks the Tory party that's left will then come to him and say, pick through the embers and restore us to our glory.
But then you just end up in a situation like America, which again has a stupid first past the post system, doesn't it? Which means that basically they end up with 52, 48, 48, 52, and, the country no one ever really gets what they want.
No, but is Nigel Farage a leader of men? He's a very inspirational character, but everyone he works with, he ends up falling out with them. And of course, the Reform Party, he owns it. He is the 53% shareholder.
I just think he's a narcissist who is he's a sort of disruptive narcissist.
He's a disruptor.
He does it just to mess everyone up.
His manifesto, Lord Suite, was a hoot, because apparently they're going to eradicate waiting lists within 2 years.
Yes.
All of them.
I thought
all of them.
If listeners want to read a good piece, that Andrew Neil wrote a very good piece, pulling it to pieces. It was very interesting.
Yeah. And of course, they're going to stop the boats. And when I challenged Richard Tice, the chairman of the Reform Baptists, I said, so you turn the boat back and you take it back to the shores of France, and the French won't let the refugees, the illegal immigrants, as I would prefer to call them, off the boat. What do you do? He said, well, we'll have a row with France. Oh, terrific.
Let's go to war with France, why not?
So we have a row with France and they still say we don't want them.
No, it's no solution. Anyway, I can't wait for it to be over, because quite honestly, I think it is already over.
It is over. It's just how bad the defeat is.
It's just, exactly. Much more important, I think, was a story this week about these two idiots. One who's 21, a student at Oxford, and another... At
Oxford. So they're meant to be part of our elite.
Part of our elite. Spraying Stonehenge with orange powder paint. The thing is, it's not fine, but if you spray the front of a Barclays bank with orange powder paint, they can get someone to come and clean it off. Stonehenge is an ancient Neolithic monument, which is by nature porous. So if you cover it in orange, but to get that off, you're going to have to erode the monument.
And they also said, it's okay, because if it rains, it'll run away. But that's actually not true, because the paint was mixed with the flour you use, which thickens up. What's it called? Not sunflower.
Cornflour.
Cornflour. So it would have congealed and they would never have been able to get it off. So these cretins didn't even know what willful damage they were doing
now they're having
to this building.
Wash Stonehenge.
A 5,000-year-old monument which has got great symbolism to
for
Druids and pagans. I mean, not our beliefs particularly, but William Roach from Coronation Street. Let's not forget Ken Barlow.
No.
He's been at Stonehenge in his Druid gear. But it is a symbolic, and it was just on the eve of the summer solstice. I couldn't believe it. As the Mail headline said, to these is nothing sacred to these cretins.
No. I mean, it's not just the symbolism, it's the archaeological importance of it.
I know.
And it's a really important Neolithic monument.
World famous.
I mean,
it's protected.
Yeah.
It's got all sorts of orders protecting.
And we just had a protracted argument that's lasted about 10 years about whether or not we can expand the road that runs alongside it. And then these guys come along and just chuck a load of petrol over it.
And it was fantastic to see locals or people
and there was that woman
to get stuck
desperately
in.
trying
Wasn't
to stop
she
them.
brilliant?
She was brilliant. She should have an MBE or something.
Yeah, and
but it's that they are completely I think disconnected from ordinary people. Are worried about the environment, and they do think that, but what they don't want is that willful destruction, and I don't understand why they think this is a good tactic.
Well, it just puts it, even if you were sympathetic to their aims, you're antagonised, you're enraged. They've done it with we've seen them do it before when they sit on the roads and they glue themselves to roads and ambulances can't get through, people can't get to work. Cleaners who are on the minimum wage can't get to their job, and because they're on 0-hour contracts, they don't get paid. Too bad, because you can be sacrificed on the altar of our environmentalism. These terrible, selfish, stupid people.
It's this narcissism that everybody seems to suffer from at the moment, which is that they all think that they are that everything they think and do is right.
Yeah.
It's not, whether it's Nigel Farage or Just Up Oil. It's the same thing. They don't care. I mean, they're prepared to destroy things just in order for them to get their way.
I thought there was a bit of hypocrisy creeping in here as well from our future Prime Minister, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. He said, it's pathetic what they've done. It's an outrage. Well, why did he take the Labour Party? Why has the Labour Party taken a couple of million from a man called Dale Vince, who funded Just Stop Oil? He's not funding them now, but he did. And we pointed it out at the time, Sarah.
Yeah.
You're taking money from somebody who worships at the Just Stop Oil, and they've never given the money back.
Yeah.
So a bit of a hypocrisy from Sir
the man
Keir
who
there.
runs. I think it's called Lush.
Oh yes, the soap store.
The soap people that all the children love.
Yeah.
He also is a kind of mad Just Stop Oil.
Another reason never to buy his soap.
Yeah. Well, also
Ever.
it stinks. It makes every shopping centre that it's in smell
I know.
awful.
There's one at Victoria Station.
It's like,
But it is outrageous, and they've now also, because we've got an incoming Labour government, so they're objecting to the fact that Tories say they will renew drilling licences in the North Sea, hugely important for 200,000 jobs. We need our own oil and gas, in my view, because we don't want to rely on the Putin's gas. And we saw what happened to our prices, energy prices here in the last 18 months. So the Tories are going to renew those licences, but Labour say they won't. Oh, well, that doesn't matter because they've moved the goalpost now. We have to now stop using oil and gas by 2030. Are they mad?
that's literally next week.
Yeah. Are they mad? Yes.
Yes,
they
completely. So the other story that's been obsessing me this week is North Korea and Putin and this sort of new axis of evil that is
Driving in that phony Rolls Royce. Did you see that?
That was weird, wasn't it?
It's not a real Rolls Royce,
No,
apparently.
no, it's a kit car, basically. It's
Yeah.
a kit car Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
But apart from the fact that the man who runs North Korea could do with some Ozempic,
Quite a lot.
don't you think?
Yes.
He can barely walk.
I know. He's so fat.
And it's so awful.
And he's quite young.
Yeah, and also all his subjects are starving.
Yeah.
What is going on there? What is the purpose? Should we actually be worried?
I think we should, because aren't we worried that actually he's going to send some form of military aid, even though the country is poor and starving and on the verge of financial ruin, military aid to Putin's side against Ukraine?
But hasn't Putin been sending him wheat and grain and stuff?
Yeah. So, but what we don't want is this another lunatic dictator entering into a military conflict on European shores, because because don't forget we've got Trump coming in potentially in November. He may cancel financial aid to Ukraine, in which case Putin wins. So Putin wins with that ghastly North Korean despot on his shoulder. Where do they go next? One of the Baltic states? Poland? A NATO country? Very worrying. That's why I'm worried.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
It
And I
is.
think also if you look at America, just because the fact that it's just so weak. I mean, going back to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I mean, neither of them are particularly inspiring, and it is supposed to be, it's supposed to be the thing that safeguards us from these lunatics.
And did you see Obama leading him off the stage this
Yeah,
week? The
I
week
did.
before we talked about him when he was
freezing.
next to George Floyd's brother. This time it was Obama having to help him off the stage.
Yeah. And what are they doing? Why are the Democrats letting this go?
I know. And then there was another, where was he? Somewhere else, and he walked off and had to be sort of led back.
Terrifying.
When is the First Lady going to speak to her husband and say, it's over? It has to be her.
I mean,
Who
yes,
else?
it has to be her. I mean, maybe she has. Maybe he's just forgotten.
Yes, probably has. Do you think he knows he's president?
I have no idea.
I keep telling the same joke. They're going to tell him he's already served his second term.
He's already said, they should just tell him that.
Because he'll think it's okay,
He'll
and then
be
he can
fine
go,
with
yeah.
that, I think we should go to some comments, going back to the topic of Stonehenge.
Are they nice about me?
Always. But I think Stonehenge...
She's just told a lie on the podcast.
I think that Stonehenge is the thing that's really exercising people.
Of course it is.
So it says Lucy 2B21 from Glasgow says, damage caused in monetary terms should be charged as theft of the equivalent. They've robbed the public temporarily of a national treasure. Then simply jail them on those terms. Oh, and don't forget the loss to the local economy of shutting the site for repairs. All I'm saying is if the government wanted to stop this, they could come up with all sorts of crimes, in inverted commas, to charge them with.
And here's another thing. The Tories are bereft of ideas. They're all over the place. We had a statement from Rishi Sunak saying it's outrageous. Why didn't we get someone saying, this is what we've got we're going to tackle this wokery.
Yeah.
We're going to toughen up the laws
Yeah.
to stop, because there should be a really severe
Well, all you
penalty
have
for
to
this,
do is
because
to
this
say
is an
that-
historic
Yeah,
monument.
all you have to do is to say, okay, stop oil, whatever it's called,
Just Stop Oil.
Just Stop Oil is now a prescribed terrorist group,
exactly.
and eco-terrorist
They're
group.
attacking
and
our
if you
statues.
join it, you will be arrested.
Yeah, they draw red paint on our statues in London. They'd call Winston Churchill a racist, which is an outrage. What's next?
They did something silly to that Prince Charles painting. I mean, they couldn't make it any sillier than it was, but they did.
Well, we thought Just Stop Oil had already attacked it anyway.
Exactly.
I think you wrote that in your column.
I did.
It looked like somebody...
It did.
Either that or that terrible woman who's just got a dame with Tracy Emin had just thrown a tin of paint over, because that's what modern art is anyway.
At it,
yes, exactly. Now, what about this one from The Country in Sharp Decline? Who's that from?
That's a good handle, isn't it?
Yeah, United Kingdom.
The offence of criminal damage is either way an offence which attracts a maximum sentence of 10 years imprisonment. Where the damage value is less than 5,000, the case must be tried summarily and this person sounds very grown up and sensible.
Yeah.
And attracts a maximum sentence of 3 months imprisonment and or a fine of up to 2,500. Prison time needed because Stonehenge is priceless.
Yeah, and this point person, Country in Sharp Decline, says they need to start with some examples being made. Give them 2 years.
I agree.
10.
Yes, but then they're annoying. Then they're clogging up our prisons. This is the problem. This is the problem. You can't send them to jail because we haven't got any space in the jails, and we can't process them.
We haven't built a prison for years.
Exactly. This is actually
we haven't built a reservoir
the root
for years.
of why people are so disillusioned with the Conservatives. Is because even if they did want to do something about these idiots, they wouldn't have they don't have the tools to do it.
Nowhere to put them.
No.
And
there'd be some sort of smarmy kind of Joylon
human
style
rights
lawyer who would get them out of it. This is the issue. This is the issue. This is what people are really fed up with. I'm not sure Keir Starmer is going to change any of that.
Go along with it.
But I think voters just need to kick something.
Keir Starmer has done human rights legal work himself.
Exactly. He's very much part of this stuff.
Yeah, he's part of the legal human rights establishment.
So tonight, Andrew, are you going to
There is a Conservative Party summer ball.
Feast?
Can you believe they are going ahead with this too? The maximum price for a table is £15,000. That'll be 12 people on there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good look.
No, I've done this. It's at the Hurlingham.
It's at the Hurlingham Club, which is London's proper country club.
Yeah.
There's a swimming pool and tennis courts. It's lavish.
It's grim.
I'm not a guest because I don't have £15,000.
How are you going to get in?
Well, they won't let me in. They don't like me very much.
So what are you going to do? Press your little nose up against the window?
Well, I'm just going to go see who's there.
Right. You're going to stand at the gate.
Be rude not to. And Rishi Sunak is not going because he's got more pressing engagements.
Who's giving the keynote speech?
He's got to go. He can't go because there is, of course, the leaders' debate tonight. It is the BBC Question Time debate when the four leaders have to face a Question Time audience. That's handy, isn't it? So you've got the Lib Dem leader goes first, the SNP leader, then Keir Starmer, and then Rishi. But the cabinet are on a three-line whip to attend. I suspect half the cabinet won't be there because looking at these polls, half the cabinet are going to lose their seats. So they're going to have to be knocking on a few doors saying, please don't throw me out.
Who's going to give the speech? If the Prime Minister's not going to, it'll be Cleverly.
I'm not sure he'll go. The Home Secretary, the Foreign Secretary, David Cameron. Why do we want him to give a speech? No, he's part of the problem.
And it's funny because I've been to those
Tory
things
Party
before,
chairman,
and normally they're full of what they're basically full of is very rich men with their second or third wives.
Yeah, it's all their girlfriends.
All their girlfriends, and
you know if you light a match near some of those women, don't wish to be unkind, but they will melt. Because there's quite a lot of plastic.
Yes, they're
there.
not entirely natural.
No,
it's fair to say.
No,
there's a lot of yes, there are a lot of very expensive dresses and
you often
diamonds.
see that man from Pimlico Plumbers, Charlie Mullins,
yes,
there, who has a very curious hairstyle.
He's had a lot of facelifts.
And he's had something done to his face.
Yeah.
And he always managed to inveigle his way into photographs with cabinet ministers.
Yes.
But last I heard, he'd gone to the Liberal Democrats and now...
Oh, has he now?
Yes, but now he's apparently friendly with reform. But I wouldn't be surprised if he turns up tonight.
Oh, interesting. I do feel sorry for them. It is the end of everything.
Well, they won't be charging £15,000 for the next one. It'll be 15.
No, they'll be paying people £15,000 to turn up.
In fact, they'll invite me in.
Yes, they
because
will.
There'll be so few people there.
Desperate. Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's so many times I've sneaked into Tory fundraising events, and I'm normally thrown out within 3 minutes.
I'm sure Kemi Badenoch will be there.
I'm sure she will. She'll be talking to donors.
And do you think that she's because they'll all be clustering around her. wanting to talk to her, see what she's got planned.
Yeah, and also they'll say she'll be because she could be the last one standing. I did see Grant Shapps on television the other day. He is our Defence Secretary, and clearly I've never seen. He is Tigger normally, isn't he? He is a bit like Rishi, the Duracell bunny, endlessly optimistic, and he'd virtually conceded the Tories have lost. But I thought, oh God, you've lost your own seat, haven't you? I could feel it. He won't be there tonight.
Well, actually, that's probably.
And you're not going either, are you?
I'm not invited.
You would have. Would you? If you were
I
invited,
haven't been
you wouldn't go.
invited for years.
Yeah. What a relief for you.
No, I don't. I think the last time I went was about 10 years ago.
I might see if I can get a game of tennis.
It's actually not a very fun event. You don't want to have to go to.
Ghastly.
So we've got a new feature on this little podcast of ours on this day.
Very
21st
significant
of
day.
June.
We should actually say on this significant year, because I know 1967 was a very significant year because homosexuality was legalised just as well, because otherwise, as you know, Sarah had been shot dead at 18.
Well, it was also, abortion was also
Yes.
decriminalised, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
No. Why, you think your parents would not have had you?
No, definitely not.
Oh.
No, because I was not planned, I don't think.
Okay, unwanted.
I think I might have been.
Yes, but they're so glad they had you.
Are they? I
don't
don't know.
Much.
Anyway.
But what else happened on this day? What happened on this
well,
day?
Pope Paul VI was elected.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
He was the first pope I can remember.
Yes.
He was quite significant with Vatican II.
Yes.
And although John the Thingy was more significant. And what else happened?
Well,
Prince William was born today.
Today's Prince William's birthday.
In 1982, the Prince of Wales. Happy
Yes.
birthday, sir.
A little
because, of
millennial
course,
prince.
he will be listening. We know that. My sister Shirley was born today.
Was she?
She's not with us, sadly. We lost her during COVID, which is very sad. So she would have been 67.
So she would have born.
So happy
57.
birthday, kid, because she'll be listening.
Yes.
Because I'm a firm believer and we go on to greater things in the other side. And also Maurice Saatchi.
Lord Saatchi.
Lord Saatchi.
Who are they not doing? They're not doing anything with the Tory campaign,
No.
are they? No.
Well, clearly not. And of course, he was part of that amazing Saatchi and Saatchi campaign in 1979. They did that amazing poster. I've said amazing twice. Sorry about that. Incredible poster. Superlatives
Such a
galore.
Tory fanboy.
Yeah, but it was the poster showing Labour isn't working with a long circling row of unemployed people.
Because unemployment was the big problem.
Huge. And that helped Mrs Thatcher win
Isn't
in 1979.
it interesting? Unemployment's not an issue at all at this election.
Because it's pretty low compared to the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. And inflation is down, but of course the Bank of England didn't cut interest rates today because they said apparently the briefing is, well, they can't do that during a general election campaign. Why? They're not connected to the government. They're meant to be independent bankers. What a joke this country's become.
Do you think they're
waiting for the Labour government to get in and they'll cut interest rates straight away.
They will,
and Keir Starmer will get the credit.
Yeah.
With Rachel Boring Snoring Reeves, our first woman Chancellor. She'll get the credit.
So how does that work? Are they allowed to do? Why is that allowed to happen?
Well, there's 9 of them. They're independent, and they've decided it wasn't right because apparently wage inflation is too high.
Right.
But it'll come apparently in August or September.
Right.
They'll do it just in time for the run-up for the Labour conference.
And for their first budget, presumably.
And for their first budget. But they are independent, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
apparently. Yeah.
Was it Tony Blair who made them independent?
Tony Blair and Gordon Brown.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that man did so much damage to the constitution of this country. We should never let him forget that. And if we've got problems with immigration, all caused by his wretched war in Iraq.
I know.
And also David Cameron's mad foray into Libya with Macron.
That was bonkers.
I know. Do you know the French called that election 2 weeks ago, and they'll have had the first round of the French election before ours? It's a joke, isn't it?
It's so much better to do
So
it
much
that way.
better. Why are we having a 6.5 week campaign?
Because the thing is you can't really change people's minds in an election campaign. I don't think.
No.
Has there ever been an election campaign that has changed people's minds?
I think probably the one you could point to is 2017 when Theresa May went into it with a 23-point lead, and at the end it was about a 4-point lead, and she lost the Tory majority. But that was because she was so woeful. She was more wooden than the Forest of Dean.
Yes.
And she did come up with that policy called the
And
dementia tax.
I think at that stage the Conservatives still had quite a good cabinet.
They did.
So people were probably thinking, assuming they even knew who was in cabinet, they might have been thinking, well, it's still quite a competent government.
Yeah. Couldn't say that now.
Stage. No, they certainly wouldn't say that. And that's the thing.
I know. And also, Sarah, think about this last week. We had the inflation hit 2%. Where is the chance of the Exchequer? Jeremy Hunt. Has anyone seen him? Where is he?
No, I mean, you'd imagine...
Pray tell.
You'd expect
thought he'd be standing on the rooftop shouting the good news.
You'd have expected him to be doing the rounds this
Nowhere
morning.
to be seen. It was Mel Stride again, the Work and Pension Secretary, Mr. Grey man, Mr.
Very nice man.
Very nice, very
Very nice
boring, very avuncular. And according to these polls, he's going to lose his seat too.
Yes,
So-
you see, so all the half decent people in the Conservative Party.
But there's no sign of Jeremy Hunt because, of course, he's glued to his constituency because he thinks he's going to lose.
Yeah.
And he will.
Well,
On that note, should we say something to cheer people up?
Okay. Go on then.
We're going to say what's very cheerful. Right, I'm struggling. Oh, we're going to do well in the football, aren't we?
I don't know.
No, nor
because
do
I
I.
don't understand the
No,
football.
nor me.
I'd have to ask my son about that.
Well, Scotland are still in it, so that's good news because we've got lots of Scottish
William
listeners.
thinks Germany are going to win.
Oh, no.
He says they're awfully good.
Well, it's in their country
And
too.
it's also in their country
yeah,
too,
so
yes.
that gives them an advantage. But
I don't know.
No.
I mean,
I am going to.
you're going to watch the football?
If we get into the semi-final, and the semi-final is on a Thursday, I'm going to do this podcast in the England football kit.
Are you?
Yes.
I can't wait
It's
for
a
that.
pledge.
I cannot wait for that.
I might even have the shin pads on.
Well, I think we should get my son in to explain it all to us. If we
Yes,
get
very
to
good
semi-final,
idea.
'cause he's very good at football.
Has he got an England shirt? Could I borrow it? 'Cause I don't
He's
really
got
want.
so many football shirts.
I don't really want to buy one because what am I going to
okay.
do with it?
Right. I mean, there is a cupboard full of really disgusting shirts of all kind of colours.
but are they
because
washed?
He's quite a sort of omnivore when it comes to
but
football.
he's a
Of course
teenager.
they're
Well, they have been washed.
Yes, no, of course they're washed. But
Right.
But I mean, there's sort of I don't know. There's a lot of Chelsea shirts in there.
No, we need an England one.
Okay,
So
all
can
right,
you have a word with them
I'll have a
about
word
that?
with them about
If
that.
it doesn't fit, it doesn't matter because it's only you can see the top. But I'll wear the shorts as well. What colour are the shorts?
I've
no idea.
No idea.
But I'm not wearing football boots because they have studs on. So I'll just wear my trainers.
No, you could just wear your brogues as normal.
Yeah, I've got my
I think
brogues,
that would be a good
exactly.
look,
Yes.
Andrew.
So there is the pledge. Is that an incentive to want England to lose? You're
Well,
spared
very
the
much
sight
so.
of me in England football kit, or for us. And of course, if the semi-finals on a different day, then I don't wear the kit.
Why is it?
Well, I just thought if it was on the day.
Oh, okay.
No, if we get in semi-finals, I will do
Yes.
the podcast
Yes.
in my
Okay.
gear.
Yes.
How's that?
I wouldn't be wearing any football regalia.
Well, we did well at the women's football.
Yes,
didn't
I
we?
know.
Did we win it?
I think so.
I can't
don't
remember.
Know. I
Did
can't
we? What were they called? The Lionesses.
The Lionesses, yes.
I didn't watch any of that either.
No.
Well, I did
That's
watch.
it.
I did watch it when we got in the final of the Euros at our great friend Amanda Patel's house.
I only ever watch the football if
We're in the final.
I'm forced to.
Yeah. Well, I watched it at Amanda
Although I
Patel's
do like
house.
going to live games.
I don't.
No, they are fun.
Are
live
they?
games. They're
Right.
very exciting.
Well, we watched it at Amanda Patel's house, my partner and I, and of course we lost on penalties. I was in the kitchen making the vodkas, obviously. By the time I came back, we were out, or we'd lost, or whatever it was. And on the way back, my partner said, "Right, can we have an understanding? We never have to watch a football match ever again." And I said, "Well, as we haven't been in a football final since 1966, and we probably won't be in another one for another 6 years, I think you can be pretty certain we won't have to watch one again. So, come on, England."
Come on, England. I'm of course supporting Italy anyway. So
Treacherous.
treacherous. And on that note, thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry we had to talk about the election so much.
I'm
We
sorry
do
we have to talk
do
about the
this.
football. I'm
No,
sorry that
you're
Sarah and
not.
I don't know anything about it.
Yes.
We do know the captain. He's called Harry Kane.
Oh, is he? I thought he was called something else.
No, he is definitely Harry Kane.
Maybe that's the manager. Do you know what the manager's called?
Yes, he wore waistcoats 3 years
Yes.
ago. Gareth Southgate.
That's right. Well done.
That's it. That's the football knowledge.
That's the
done.
football. If you would like to contact us, we would love that. You can email reaction@dailymail.co.uk, leave a comment on Spotify, or even send us a voice note on WhatsApp on 07796 657 512, and please start your message with the word reaction. Thanks for listening.